Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, and I hope you are too. I know you are too, because you're watching content like this. Who watches content like this? Nothing but those people that know life is supposed to be something great, and I'm going to make sure that happens, right? The name of this channel is Manifest the Magic the Practical Way because we have so many practicalities, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the woo woo, and I'm also here for the practicalities, right? Because the combination of the two is what gives us that life that we choose, right? And of course, third, spirituality's got to be on point. It's got to be on point. You got to always be working into that direction, right? Anyway, what I want to share today is kind of like an insight, kind of like a take on how I start my day and what are some of the tools that I use in order to be a master manifester in this life, right? Because I like the term master manifester because I think it speaks to the idea that we are masters of our own domains. And when you are trying to manifest what you do all day, every day, you have to become a master of you. You have to become a master of the person you're looking at in the mirror. Because if you can't master and control that person, a master of control will come and do it for you, right? Because there's no shortage of people, places, and things and entities, spiritual domains and principalities. There's no shortage of that trying to take you in and use you for its purpose, right? So if you are not the master of you, then you will be a master. You will be mastered by someone else, right? So what I do to master, manifest, and to like develop and create the days that I choose and how I start them is a very, very important process for me. So I think everybody knows that you can't be the best version of yourself and you can't go out into this world and be great when you wake up in clutter. You wake up in the same mindset you had before the day before and it wasn't that great and you just roll into your day and it's like a continuation. That's pretty much what it is. If you don't use your sleeping moments in like meditation in order to reset your day, they're all just going to run together. And a lot of times if it's not what we want, then we just see a whole line of days running together, which are a bunch of what we don't want, right? So how I start my day in the morning is always with a moment, right? First of all, before I get up, I'm one of those people that can't get up directly out of the bed because if I try to get up directly, I get nausea and I get dizzy. Like if I'm sleeping for 8 hours, I can't just jump up and go da 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 da, right? My fiance, he's a little bit different. He can just jump right up. That alarm goes off. He never hits snooze. Never, never hits snooze. Pops right up, goes straight and goes, gets it right. So for me, my mornings are a little bit slower. I have to be more intentional about them because my emotions can really start to navigate my day if I don't get in front of it. And especially when you have two teenage daughters, this is my particular case, where their emotions are in all over the place. You can really get caught up into what everybody else has going on before you get yourself in a good position. So before I lay there for about 5 to 10 minutes always anyway, to just like, hey man, I'm up. I'm here today. It's cool. It's another day, right? It's beautiful. This bed feels good. It's warm. I got to get up. It's okay. I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. And sometimes I want to get out of bed. It's like I lay there so long and I'm like, girl, get up. And then I immediately go directly into my headset right here. I keep it next to the bed because these are noise blockers. And I go right into my morning meditation, right? What I do before that is that I actually walk around the house and I go and knock on the girls' doors and wake them up. And then I go and put their lunch that they're going to have inside of the air fryer or something like that or prepare it, whatever it needs to do. And then once I know that's done, I go back and get my 15 minutes in, right? So this is in the morning, it's usually just 10 or 15 minutes. That 10 or 15 minutes is so important because it gives me a moment to first be grateful for everything that I do have and what's happening in my life. But it also gives me an opportunity to tap into those things that I know I've scripted and those things that I know I'm trying to manifest and just sit in silence and kind of say, hey, this is you. This is your life. This is your day. You're the captain of your ship, right? If today everybody needs to be an NPC, that's a non-playing character. I learned that from my daughters because they game. Then everybody just needs to be an NPC. And if you want to interact with them and play with them, you can and you choose to do that. But you just knowing that I create the rules for this day. I decide how this day is going to go. I decide that if no matter what happens in it, my reactions are going to be like this. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be kind because I am. I'm not super nice though. I was just telling my daughter that. I was like, I ain't nice. Nice to me is fake. I mean, I'm very kind though. I'll give you every last, they say the shirt off your back. I will hand over my finances, money. That's no big deal to me because I know more abundance is always on its way, right? But I'm not like all like, hi, good morning. How's the weekend? Did you have a nice day? But that's not me. I ain't never tried to be that woman, right? So just know that, I'm going to be kind today. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be loving. I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to be received and accepted well in every environment that I'm supposed to be in, right? So starting my day off like that always just lets me know that, first of all, I'm not doing this thing for other people. I'm doing it because I have a connection to the Great Spirit. I have a connection to the universe, and I have a purpose within me. And today I'm going to make sure that I'm doing everything to fulfill that purpose, right? And then from getting that meditation in and just any type of positive words and affirmations that I can do, directly from that, I go into what I call auto mode, right? I literally sit in my head and picture myself going through the things that are monotonous in my day, like as if I'm a sim. And it's so cool because I realize that if I don't, if I take these moments, like every moment is so detrimental to how the day is going to turn out, then every moment can shift the day into a negative space if I let it, right? So I already know that I'm going to be in traffic for about an hour and 20 minutes in the morning. I already know that I'm going to get cut off a bunch of times because when you're in traffic that long or driving that long, it's just no choice that's going to happen. You're going to get cut off a bunch. I already know somebody's going to think I made a move that they didn't like and then do something rude to me. I was in the car the other day. I don't know what happened. You know how you're just in the middle of something, and I was just driving on the interstate, and I was just in the same lane for like 10 minutes. And I'm talking to my daughters, and then someone got in front of me, and all of a sudden, I just see the middle finger just go up in the air, and he like held it there for like a minute. I was like, is that for me? I don't. So when I go in auto mode is what I call it. I even picture all of this stuff and I like fast forward it, like the way people make YouTube videos and they show this fast forwarded version of them creating something so that you don't get bored with the process because our attention spans are so short. And so I literally fast forward my way all the way through into the part where I start to create and I start to do things that I love to do as far as my work is related, right? So I fast forward all through the traffic, all through the drop offs of my children, all through the drop off, going through neuron. I fast forward all through that. And the reason why is because it's not that beautiful and lovely things are not going to unfold in those moments. It's just that I don't want to get myself caught up in the detail of the unwanted aspects of my day. So like it's unwanted. I don't desire it. It's not fun. I don't like it. It's unwanted. But if I see myself as having it already done and like fast forwarding through it, it's like I'm almost in a daze when I'm driving through it. It's like it's not even touching me, right? And I think that's a place you have to get to be if your current circumstances create an environment to where you have to do that level of driving or interacting in ways that you don't want to. And so from there, I generally, once I get to my place of work, I sit in my vehicle for a minute. And a lot of times when I do that, because this is the thing, once I did that meditation, I set the tone for the day. But once I do all the traffic and stuff, that energy is still around. That aspect of the day is still there. So once I go into the parking garage, I literally sit there and I'm like, okay, let's do this one more time. So I sit there about 5 or 10 minutes, and sometimes that meditation, a moment to myself, is making a video for you all, which is for me, but for you all. I sit there for a moment and do an early morning video because there's something that's really cool that's on my mind. I want to share it with you. And then other times it's just sitting there and say, hey, today is great. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I have a good lunch packed, I have plenty of opportunities to exercise and walk all day and do some things that I love. I can come and go and leave during the day to take care of business like I need to and please, So I start focusing on all the ways that I'm not trapped because that's important to me. I feel trapped really easily. So I have to think about all the ways that I'm not trapped into somebody's ideas, their mindset, their ways of doing things and all that, right? It's sort of like extracting from the matrix without the matrix extracting everything out of you, right? And we have to keep that in mind. So as a master manifester, that is my mindset. That is the way that I start my day. And then I go into things thinking like, the best is going to turn out and I'm always going to come out on top. Man, the attitude of always feeling like you're going to come out on top is undefeated. You can be defeated in something, but if you always feel like at the end of the day, it's working in your favor and you're going to come out on top, the defeat doesn't even hurt. You know what I mean? You got to get to the place where everything around you is so small and you are the iron hand, right? In sociology, we have something called the invisible hand, right? And it means that there are energies and attitudes that's shaping the world and everything around us that we don't have access to and we're not tapped into. And if we get into the wrong mental modes, like victim mode, we really never, ever, ever, ever catch up because we're just in the wrong mind space for that frequency to latch on to us, right? I was reading an article about obesity for whatever reason, and I was looking at the comments underneath it, and the article said that having more clothes in plus size fashion normalizes obesity in America. And I was just like, oh, well, that's automatic. I'm a sociologist. There's no environment you can go into that's not going to impact you. I don't know why people think that they're like, I'm self-made. I did this by myself. It's like, it's not even possible. You might hate your parents, but because of them, you are you. And if you love and enjoy who you are, then guess what? They were a part of it. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. We're interdependent beings, but we're not completely independent of each other in that sense of things, right? And so I'm just looking at it, just like, how can they say that? This is so rude. This is so, and I'm just like, okay, the topic of obesity is not pretty for anybody. Nobody wants to talk about it. But my thing is that if you think for 1 second that environments don't influence the way that you make choices and what you feel comfortable and what you've normalized in your life, then you got another thing coming. And so if you grow up in the hood and like shooting and all that kind of stuff happens every day, when you get older, a lot of times you don't even realize that environment was not the best that it was abnormal. It wasn't, you just made it, you normalized it. Everything gets normalized when we see it more often, right? So when we know this, we have to know that we are not, to me, the greatest humility, and I said this before, is to know that we are not immune to being rubbed off on and, being a part of our environment. So if you want and desire to get to the place of being a master manifester, it has to start with the beginnings of your days. It has to start before anything else starts. And I know a lot of us don't want to slow down and actually do these things because it's just like, oh yeah, that. But the benefits and the results are amazing because you can walk around in these environments and places and be a part of these things without it ever getting deeply embedded in you because you're aware that you can be influenced. I think the biggest disservice you can do to yourself is to tell yourself that you can't be influenced by an environment because guess what? You are. It's not even possible, right? Mediocrity influences mediocrity. Excellence influences excellence. People say that all the time. It's like a tennis player trying to play someone who barely plays. Your game gets affected by that. Your game is not being sharpened. Your game is getting weaker because you're dealing with people who are weaker tennis players. And that is how everything works. And while it may not be pretty to believe or think that, when you are railing against the idea that your environments are not going to impact you to a certain degree, it's like you're blind to the impact. When we're honest about the impact and that it's possible, then we can see when we, live in a neighborhood with a McDonald's on the corner and we've stopped there 5 times. We can see it. We know that we're doing this. We can see that we've gotten on the edge and anxious because we have a long commute. And we're not lying to ourselves that, oh, the commute shouldn't affect me. Well, it does. And it's okay. But knowing that it does is what gets us to the other side of it. Anyway, because I can go on and on about that forever, right? Because sociologists know the environment is almost everything. We know. And I always say, every time I see people going off about odd things, I'm like, everybody needs a sociology, intro to social course, because it really opens your mind to the idea that you cannot exist independently of anything you have going on in your space. You are affected by it all. You are impacted by it all. And guess what? You are in charge of how you perceive it all, too. Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful day because there's so much beauty going on, right? We don't know how long we're going to be here, but while we're here, make it beautiful. And have a wonderful, wonderful day.